The assassin. You know I break necks, call me Jack Tate. I have no regrets while your life is fading. I'm a crazy fuck equivalent to Satan. When I'm behind the mic, I feel like the greatest. You know I break necks, call me Jack Tate. I have no regrets while your life is fading. I'm a crazy fuck equivalent to Satan. When I'm behind the mic, I feel like the greatest.
What up, y'all? You're listening to Sports Talk with Tropp, and I'm your host, Katie Tropp. What an insane game last night. I mean, that is the epitome of what this season has been. Holy shit. Like, at one point in the game, you're just looking at it like, oh, this is all Rams. Rams are winning this shit easily. And all of a sudden, here we are looking at the Seahawks making a comeback, and you're like, this ain't going to happen. And then all of a sudden, we're in overtime, and the Seahawks win. Like, it was crazy. And you can't even say, I don't think either team choked. I don't think either team lost this game. I think both teams were in it to win it. They were both battling from the jump. I mean, how many fucking times are the Rams going to go for it on fourth down? I mean, they were, boom, first drive, go for it, go for it, go for it. It was like every single time they were going for it on fourth down. And, of course, there were some mistakes made by both teams, but I'm just saying, as far as football goes, this is not a game where you look at and go, oh, yeah, the Rams shit the bed in this one. No, the Rams played their game. It's just the Seahawks played their game, too. This was just a beautiful game by two excellent teams who want to win their division, but also want the number one overall seed. And, like I said, crazy-ass game. So, Rams look like they're going to start running away with this in the second half. The first half, it was pretty close. But it just kind of felt like this was the Rams game all night. I mean, they were, you have Sam Darnold on his ass a good chunk of the night. He's thrown a couple really bad interceptions. You got Cooper Kupp who fumbles the ball on a big key drive as they're about to score towards the end of the first half. And it's just like, looking, everything's in disarray in the first half for the Seattle Seahawks, but they just kept with it, especially their defense. Their defense, what I've been talking about, that's been keeping them in each and every game. Now, with that being said, their offense and their special teams made some big-ass plays to keep them in this game as well. So to get them back within 8 points, you got Rashid Shaheed. They traded for this dude earlier in the season, and this has been a huge trade for them because this is not the first time he has done this. As a matter of fact, he did it a couple of weeks ago where he popped off for a big ass. I think it was a kickoff or a punt return. I can't remember which one, but he popped off for a touchdown, and it turned out to be a game-changing play. Well, happened again last night. He pops off on a punt return, magically scores a touchdown, and gets the team within 8 freaking points, and you're like, holy shit, is something going to happen here? Nah, the Rams are going to come out, they're going to run, because the Rams were running the ball last night. This offensive line was just blocking so beautifully. Sometimes in the open field, you just see blocker, and you're like, whoa, this Rams team came to play. But unfortunately, it was 3 and out. So Seattle gets the ball back, and they just start driving. And freaking Sam Darnold throws this beautiful pass in blown coverage. Dude's wide-ass open. They go for the 2-point conversion. Weirdest 2-point conversion in probably the history of football, at least in recent memory for me. So the Seahawks go for the 2-point conversion because they're only down by 2. If they get the 2-pointer, it's all tied up. So they go for the 2-point conversion, and it looks like a busted play. It looks like, boom, Sam Darnold hits the helmet of one of the Rams defensive players. Ball pops up in the air. Nobody catches it. Lands on the ground. Boom. Walk off the field. Well, all of a sudden, it kind of looks like the refs are like looking at the play, and you're just like, what's going on here? And then the ref that's in the booth, he actually does say, yeah, it looks like they're looking at this play because from what I can tell, this is a backwards pass. And if this is a backwards pass, that means that's a live ball. And Zach Charbonnet, the running back for the Seattle Seahawks, was actually in the end zone when he picked up the ball. So technically, that 2-point conversion would count. Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened. So first of all, shout out to Charbonnet for that heads-up play because I always have this theory whenever I'm watching a game. Like, if you just see a ball kind of look like maybe it got fumbled or maybe it was a backwards pass, just pick up the ball. I've always just wondered why some dudes just let the ball keep rolling. If it's me, I'm going to at least just pick it up. I'm not going to run with it. I'm not going to like fight a dude for it. But if it's just sitting there on the ground, it can't hurt to pick it up because things like what happened last night can happen. And so then the game is tied and it changes the complete trajectory of this game. And then we head into overtime. So the Rams come right out and boom, score 7 points, and it's looking like, oh, shit. Now, this Rams defense had Sam Darnold on his ass all fucking night, except for this drive. Sam Darnold, boom, put together a beautiful drive with the rest of this squad. They get down in scoring position. They end up scoring the touchdown. And then they're like, you know what? We're going for 2. We ain't tying this shit. We're going to chop your head off. And that is what they did. This dude's so wide open too. It's so nuts to watch the play in real time because even as Darnold is dropping back, I'm like, oh my God, that guy is so wide open as he catches the touchdown. It was insane. They win 38-37. And like I said, this game was nuts. Matthew Stafford went 29 for 49 with 457 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Puka Nacua, 225 yards and 2 touchdowns on the losing side of the football. You turn to Sam Darnold. Shout out to Darnold. Dude was under duress all night. Dude had one of the interceptions he threw was so bad last night. It was in the red zone. They were ready to score, and he just throws it to the fattest motherfucker on the field and just blows a drive. He had 2 interceptions, but still was able to bounce back, go 22 for 34, 270 yards and 2 touchdowns. JSN continues his great year, 96 yards and a touchdown with some crazy toe drag swag catches on the sideline. Like he is beautiful with the footwork, y'all. He knows exactly where his feet need to be if he's near the sideline. And then Kenny Walker III on the ground. They came out from the second half. Their first drive after halftime, boom. Walker runs out and just cuts this, just kills it wide open, gets this beautiful touchdown, ends up with 100 yards on the night total with a touchdown. But man, that was a great game last night. That's what this whole football season has been. And, just excellent football. Like I said, nobody lost that game. That was just a battle between 2 really good teams who really wanted it. And Seattle just ended up with it with the win. So we'll see what happens come playoff time because we could see that matchup yet again. And it's been good both times this year. So let's move on to the rest of Week 16 and also my head-to-head matchup with the homie Simon Ruvalcaba. Last week I went 9-7. He went 10-6. So we are all tied up heading into this week. 143 wins, 80 losses. And actually Simon took a 1-game lead last night because he had Seattle and I had the Rams. So this week, it's Week 16, which means it's towards the end of the season, and that means Saturday football, y'all. So I am looking forward to this week because it's all football all weekend. Some good games, too. Beginning with the Philadelphia Eagles at the Washington Commanders. Right now, the Eagles are a 5.5-point favorite. If the Eagles win this game, they win the division, and the Cowboys are... they're gone. Doesn't matter what the hell they do the rest of these 3 games. They are done if the Eagles win this one. So we will know on Saturday if the Eagles win this one, what happens for the Cowboys' fate, even though I'm pretty sure it's over. And it's just, I don't really see the Eagles losing to Washington. Yes, it's a division battle. And I expect Washington to take it to them. I don't expect them to just lay down and give it to them. But the Eagles are more talented. And Washington they haven't been a good football team at all. No Jaden Daniels in this one, just Mariota at the quarterback position. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe they'll show out. Maybe they'll put on a surprise game, but I just don't really see it. I kind of feel like Philadelphia, even though they've had their drama, who cares? They're still a very talented team. They're still able to put it together, and they're still the much better team. I think it's going to be a close matchup, but I've got the Eagles winning this one 21-10 and sending the Cowboys home packing on the last 3 weeks of the season. And Simon also has Philadelphia in that one. Then we have the Green Bay Packers with the Chicago Bears. And right now the Packers are a 1.5-point favorite. And Chicago's at home. That kind of, I feel like that's weird. Yes, I know Green Bay played a great game against Chicago in the last one. But Yeah, I actually think Chicago is more ready to win this game. Chicago is extremely confident. And while Green Bay's playing with confidence as well, Green Bay hasn't been very consistent. There's no Micah Parsons in this one, so that's going to be a huge difference on the defensive side of the ball. And then offense, yeah, Jordan Love has been having a fantastic year, but what happens if the Chicago Bears defense gets at him? Now, I kind of feel like this is going to be an all defensive game. I kind of feel like Chicago's defense is really going to step it up for this one. I feel like their offense is going to do just enough in this one. And I think it's going to be a battle. You know, it's going to be I feel like it's going to be kind of similar to last night's game, except I think it's going to be a defensive battle with some just a couple of big offensive plays here and there. But I feel like this is going to be all defense all night. But I've got Chicago winning a close one. 24-23, and Simon's going with Green Bay in this one, so I could tie it all up on Saturday, or he could take a 2-game lead. Moving on to Sunday's games, we have the Buffalo Bills at the Cleveland Browns. Right now, the Bills are a 10.5-point favorite. Cleveland is one of those teams who ain't playing for shit. Although, with that being said, I feel like Shedeur Sanders, he's got a lot to prove. So he's probably got no issues going out there and trying to make a name for himself as best he can in Cleveland. And then, of course, you got Myles Garrett, who has everything to play for. Dude only needs one sack to tie the all-time sacks season leader list. And so he gets one sack, and he ties it at 22.5 with T.J. Watt and Michael Strahan. And if he gets 1.5, he is the all-time sack leader for the season. So that's what I'm rooting for. That's really what I'm rooting for, because other than that, I don't think Cleveland has shit to look forward to in this one, because I feel like Buffalo, I feel like, is playing really solid football right now. I feel like they're really riding a high with that last game that they won over the New England Patriots, and I feel like they're just going to rock and roll in this one against Cleveland. I've got Buffalo rolling over Cleveland 41-13. Then we have the Los Angeles Chargers at the Dallas Cowboys. Right now, the Cowboys are a 1.5-point favorite. Like I said, the Cowboys might be playing for nothing. But with that being said, it kind of sounds like Dak Prescott's going to be playing even so. And I wouldn't be shocked, because this is actually the Cowboys' last home game of the season, because their next 2 games are away games. So I kind of feel like you're going to play him regardless, just to at least give the fans something to cheer for. They did pay good money to be out there, regardless of what this team is playing for. So you at least want to see Dak Prescott out there. And so it sounds like he's going to be playing. Sounds like you're going to at least get the starters out there, regardless of what happens with that Eagles game. Now, who knows? If the Eagles lose, we will absolutely have something to play for. But with that being said, I feel like this Chargers team, I've said it for most of the season, they are so inconsistent. You look at them and you're like, especially on the offensive side of the ball, what is there to write home about? They're just really not that explosive offensively. Defensively, really sound, but it's the offensive side of the ball where there's just so many questions. And I kind of feel like the Cowboys are going to want to play for pride, and I think that the Chargers are just not that very great of a team. And I've got the Cowboys showing out in the final home game of the season, 28-23. Then we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Tennessee Titans. Right now, the Chiefs are a 3.5-point favorite. No Patrick Mahomes in this one, so it's going to be a very, very weird game for the Chiefs. Not only because they're not in playoff contention, so these last 3 games are absolutely nothing other than pride for the Chiefs players. But like I said, no Patrick Mahomes. So it's going to be a very odd feeling as a Chiefs fan. Welcome back down to earth, Chiefs fans. As a Cowboys fan who lived through a dynasty, it happens. You are going to get knocked back down to earth, and you're just not going to understand how it happened. And this is how it happened. So welcome to our world. And it's been a long time since the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl. So yeah, you might be here. You might be here. But you never know what's going to happen in the future. But I do know what's going to happen the rest of this season. No Patrick Mahomes, and you have nothing to play for. The Titans, terrible team, probably one of the worst teams in the league. It's really difficult to kind of pick and choose, but I mean, when you really look at it, the Titans have mostly no talent on this team for the most part. But the Chiefs, I kind of feel like regardless of what's going to happen, they're still going to play for pride, and they're the better team, more talented team, especially on defense. So I've got the Chiefs winning this one 20-7. Then we have the New York Jets at the New Orleans Saints. Right now, the Saints are a 4.5-point favorite. And this Saints team has actually just really turned it on. Their quarterback, Tyler Shugg, he's a rookie and he's just throwing it all out there. It doesn't matter. And I kind of feel like that's what's cool about the Saints team is they have nothing to play for. So, hey, let's just throw it all out there. Let's see what we've got with everybody on this team and see what we can build with the future. The Jets are the Jets. They suck. They're pretty bad offensively. They're pretty bad defensively. And since the Saints are riding high right now, I'm going with the Saints, 23-14. Then we have the Minnesota Vikings at the New York Giants. The Vikings are a 2.5-point favorite. These are two more teams playing for absolutely nothing, so it's probably going to be a pretty close game. I'm going with the Vikings, 20-17. I don't know why. Both teams, like I said, are not playing for a goddamn thing, so I just kind of feel like the Giants don't have a lot of talent. It's kind of been proven that way, whereas Minnesota at least has Jefferson, and J.J. McCarthy's shown some growth in these last couple of games. So I just kind of feel like, and Minnesota's defense, they are really good. Regardless of what you got to think about Minnesota's offense, their defense is damn good. So I've got the Vikings winning this one 20-17. Then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers. Right now, the Buccaneers are a 2.5-point favorite, and both of these teams have everything to play for. The division is on the line with this one. They are tied for the division lead, so whoever gets this win will take a nice little lead, even though the last week of the season is where it's really going to be determined. So even if you lose this game, you still have the final game of the season to play for, but you want to win them all. And I just kind of feel like Tampa Bay has been reeling this season. But Carolina has no consistency this season. They play close, they play well, but then you're like, what's going on here in every single game? Whereas Tampa Bay, they've got a lot more talent. Their defense is good, and they're getting a lot of guys back from injury. And I just can't kind of feel like I personally think Tampa Bay is going to at least put it together for these last 3 games of the regular season. I do think it's going to be a battle, but I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning this one 27-17. Then we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Miami Dolphins, 2 more teams that have absolutely zero to play for. Right now, the Dolphins are a 1.5-point favorite. We're going to get a look at Quinn Ewers, the rookie quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa has been benched for the rest of the season. And the Bengals, they've got nothing to play for. Miami's got nothing to play for. But I will say, I think the Bengals are just kind of pissed off. And I kind of feel like, Joe Burrow, he came back. He's obviously got a lot of pride. And I just kind of feel like he hasn't had a really great game since he came back from injury, and I kind of feel like he's gonna want to do that in this game. I feel like he and Jamar and T. Higgins are going to show out in this one. I believe T. Higgins is playing in this one, but even if he's not, I just kind of feel like this is going to be a very lopsided game, and I feel like Cincinnati's really going to show out, and I just kind of feel like Joe Burrow is going to have a really big game. I wouldn't be shocked if he and Jamar just go off for like 5 touchdowns each, and I've got Cincinnati winning 31-14. Then we have the afternoon games. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Denver Broncos. Right now, the Broncos are a 2.5-point favorite, and I actually think this is the game of the day. Jacksonville has been playing really good lately. I mean, on both offense and defense and special teams. And their confidence is growing every week. Denver, same thing. Their defense, best in the league, and keeps them in every single game. And then their offense needed that last game. They needed to be the reason why they won a game. And they've got it locked down. They've got their division on lockdown. I don't know if they have the number 1 overall seed locked down, but they definitely are in it. And I kind of feel like it's theirs to lose. That's basically it. But with that being said, I feel like this is going to be the battle of defense. It's going to be a Denver home game. Is Jacksonville ready for this kind of cold weather? I mean, they're used to that nice, beautiful Jacksonville heat. So I don't know, but I just kind of feel like it's going to be all defense all day. I wouldn't be shocked if it's one of those sloppy games where both quarterbacks are on their ass, fumbles, interceptions, and just you see a lot of field goals in this one. Maybe even like a pick six or a fumble return for a touchdown. I'm leaning towards Denver 20-19 simply because they're at home. And it's just Jacksonville hasn't proven to me that they are ready to just be that team that we can trust. And until they can do that, I can't take them, especially against this good of a Denver team. So I'm leaning towards Denver in a close battle, 20-19. Then we have the Atlanta Falcons at the Arizona Cardinals. Right now, the Falcons are a 1.5-point favorite. This is another matchup, two teams, nothing to play for, no playoff hope for either team. So I feel like they're both going to lay it all out there on the field, and I kind of feel like this is going to be a Jacoby Brissett versus Kirk Cousins game, where it's going to be the old dude versus the old dude, just battling back and forth, tossing touchdown for touchdown, and I'm just leaning towards the home team in this one, simply because it's the home team. I've got the Cardinals winning the close one, 38-35. Then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Detroit Lions. Right now, the Lions are a 6.5-point favorite, but I think a lot of people are forgetting that Aaron Rodgers owns the NFC North teams. And he knows this Detroit Lions stadium very well. And he knows this team just in general very well. I mean, not like this specific team, but I just think it's kind of like practically a home game for him. Also, the Steelers team is starting to gain a lot of confidence, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, both of their running backs are starting to make a huge difference. The receivers still got to start catching some of these balls because I'm seeing a lot of drop balls, which is a huge problem for them. But their defense is really fucking good. Detroit, on the other hand, I have so many questions about them. They're a good team, but they're still not in it. They haven't been a dominating team all year. They haven't been great at really anything. I mean, they are good on the offensive side of the ball and one of the top scoring offenses, but they still are on the outside looking in the playoffs. And you just go, how did you lose that game? How did you win that game? And I kind of feel like this is going to be that same one where I feel like Pittsburgh's defense is going to do what they do, keep them in it. And I feel like their offense is starting to gain confidence every week. And I think they're starting to play better every week. And I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers upsetting the Detroit Lions in Detroit 27-21. Then we have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Houston Texans. Right now, the Texans are a 14.5-point favorite. The Raiders suck. That's really all there is to it. The Houston Texans have everything on the line in this one. They're right now, they are the number 7 seed, so they need to just keep on winning to at least keep that wild card spot. But also their division's in line as well, so they just want to keep on winning. Their defense is excellent. Wouldn't be shocked if their defense not only is suffocating this Las Vegas offense, but I wouldn't be shocked if they score a couple of touchdowns in this one. And Texans offense actually got rolling in the last one, so don't be shocked if they keep it rolling in this one. I've got Houston rolling 28-7. And then our Sunday night football matchup is the New England Patriots at the Baltimore Ravens. Right now, the Ravens are a 2.5-point favorite, which I just don't get. Because even though the Ravens are at home, the Ravens have played terrible football all season. They're not consistent, and I don't actually believe the Ravens are making the playoffs at all. I don't think they're going to be a wild card team, and I don't think they're going to win their division. I think the Steelers are the better team, just because the Ravens just have not looked good at all. They're not even good on the ground anymore. I mean, that's their bread and butter, and they're not even getting it done on the ground. They're not scoring a lot of points. They're not making a lot of plays. And yes, they blew the Cincinnati Bengals out of the water last week, but this Bengals defense is one of the worst in the fucking league. So, I mean, quite frankly, almost any halfway decent offense can rip apart that Cincinnati Bengals defense. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just not sold on Baltimore, whereas New England barely lost last week. New England's been one of the top teams all season, consistently. You can't look at New England and go, oh, here's a major weakness. They really actually don't have a weakness. They are good on all three sides of the ball. They're great on offense, they're great on defense, and they're great on special teams. They make big plays in every single way. So I don't even understand how Baltimore's favored in this one, other than they're at home. That's the only advantage they have. And I'm sorry, New England plays in cold weather. So what they're afraid to come to Baltimore and play a team that is barely going to make the playoffs? Nah. This Baltimore Ravens defense is not good. Their offense is inconsistent, and their special teams is not good either. They are just not a good team. I've actually lost all faith in Baltimore a couple weeks ago. I lost faith in them actually at the beginning of the season when they were really on that terrible losing streak, because it's really difficult to overcome those losing streaks. And when you're in the hole that deep, you you can't just magically just appear out of it, especially with how stacked the AFC is, and especially with good-ass teams like the New England Patriots. I mean, the New England Patriots are not a joke team. The Ravens are a joke team. So I've got the New England Patriots winning this one. I don't think they're going to roll over them. I think the Ravens are going to give them a good game. But if you ask me who I think's the better, more trustworthy team in this matchup, it's New England, 100%. Drake May has had an MVP caliber season. He is getting the ball distributed to every single member of this offensive squad. Then he's got two dudes in the backfield. You've got Henderson, who could bust off for 40 freaking yards any play, and their defense locks it down against everybody. So you're telling me the Baltimore Ravens are going to beat the Patriots by 2.5? Nah, I don't think so. I'm going New England 24-20 in that one. All right, so let's move on to the NBA. What a great week of basketball we have had. I mean, Jesus Christ. We had the NBA Cup championship crown this week, but we also just had some excellent basketball along the way. So let's get started with Monday night. Just regular old basketball, regular season, no NBA Cup stuff until Tuesday night. But on Monday, the Detroit Pistons took down the Boston Celtics 112-105. Cade Cunningham just sliced and diced that night. 32 points, 10 assists in a huge win over the Boston Celtics, who are starting to kind of careen back down to earth. And Detroit just keeps it moving. Another great game. This one went into overtime. The Denver Nuggets over the Houston Rockets, 128-125. Guess what? Nikola Jokic, triple-double, 39 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists. Jamal Murray dropped 35 points. But don't forget about Shane Goon on the other side of the ball for the Rockets. He also had a triple-double himself. He's starting to become like mini triple-double king right behind Jokic. Shane Goon, 33 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds in a crazy game between two great teams. Then on Tuesday, the NBA Cup championship was held between the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs, and the New York Knicks. They did what they do. They got the win, 124-113. It was a good matchup, but the Knicks they had it the whole way. You could just tell this was the Knicks' night. They were winning this one. Jalen Brunson actually ended up being the MVP. No shock, because he blew through every team on this in this championship. So he was obviously the MVP. He had 25 points in this game. And then OG Anunoby, he's starting to heat up since he got back from injury. He's starting to really get going. He dropped 28 points in that one. And the New York Knicks are this year's NBA Cup championship, or champion winner. Then on Wednesday, back to regular old basketball, the Chicago Bulls took down the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are starting to... They're going up and down, starting to lose some consistency here, especially against the Chicago Bulls team, who's not that good. They got the win 127-111. White had 25 points. Giddey had 23 points. And Vucevic had 20 points. So it was just an all-around really solid game, and just really good team basketball from the Chicago Bulls team. And like I said about with Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell's having a great year. And he's scoring a bunch of points in some of these games, but it kind of feels like it doesn't matter if he scores a bunch of points, because they're trying to make the other players matter as even just as half as much as Mitchell, and it's not happening. And so that's how they're losing games like this one against Chicago. Then also on Wednesday night, the Memphis Grizzlies took down the Minnesota Timberwolves 116-110, and this is another team. Minnesota's very similar to Cleveland, where Minnesota relies a lot on Anthony Edwards, who could score like 40 points, but sometimes the dude will score 40 points, and they'll say, hey, we'll let the rest of the team try and get at it, and if the rest of the team fails, well, then they lose to the Memphis Grizzlies. And Jaren Jackson Jr. had a great game, 28 points and 12 rebounds, in a big win that the Memphis Grizzlies needed. Then on Thursday, some crazy games. We had a bunch of overtime games. I mean, Thursday night was overtime central, not only for just the NFL, but also for the NBA. This one went into overtime between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Houston Rockets. And the Pelicans are the worst team in the league, but they got a big win over the Houston Rockets, 133-128. And looks like they got a gem in Derek Queen. He's a hidden gem. I don't think anybody was talking about Derek Queen this year. Got a double-double in this one, 16 points, 12 rebounds. He is starting to emerge as a little bit of a superstar over here for the Pelicans. We'll see if they hang on to him, because they're kind of that team that likes to trade away their good players. But I think you might want to build around Queen. He's a center, so I like building around a center. I know these days you like to build around the scorers, but Queen could score, but he's also kind of looking like a dude who could potentially be kind of like a Jokic type of character where he might get you some points, but also dominate the paint, distribute the ball very well. Trey Murphy also had a great game in this one, 27 points. So a big win from the Pelicans in this one. Another big win, this time, another overtime game between the Dallas Mavericks and the Detroit Pistons. The Mavericks walked away with this win, 116-114. Cooper Flagg. I know y'all Mavericks fans were, oh, is he really it? I told y'all, you got to let the guy develop. Cooper Flagg's been going off the last month of basketball. This guy is, 23 points, 10 rebounds last night. And I mean, some of these dunks, this guy is like, woo, boom. He's got some Shaq dunk on him. He might bust one of these backboards one of these days. He looked kind of crazy on a couple of them, but he's starting to heat the fuck up for this Dallas Mavericks team. But Cade Cunningham, even though the Pistons lost, had another fantastic game, 29 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists, so almost got a triple-double himself. Just cooled down, though, and only had a double-double, but big win for the Dallas Mavericks. And then another big win, Denver Nuggets over the Orlando Magic, 126-115. Stop me if you heard this. Nikola Jokic, triple-double, 23 points, 13 assists, 11 rebounds. Hey, stop me if you've heard this. Jamal Murray, another great game, dropping 32 points in this one in a big win for the Denver Nuggets. And a huge night in this game between my Los Angeles Lakers and the Utah Jazz. Lakers got the win 143-135, but Luka, holy motherfucking shit. Luka is on some this year. I mean, he is leading the league in so many offensive categories this year, and it's like he won't stop. It is just insane. Last night, 45 points, 14 assists, 11 rebounds, so he got a triple-double, but also adding 5 steals. This guy is a monster this year. And then LeBron James, 28 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. Huge monster game for both of these guys, but Luka, he is not cooling down, y'all. Look out for Luka the Don. He not only does he want an MVP, he wants the MVP. He wants to run through the playoffs, and he wants to obliterate the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, and then he wants to move on to the NBA Finals and finally get his first ring this year because, damn, he is on some. Now, I know they got a long way to go, and there's a lot to get through. I mean, shit. You got the Nuggets playing great basketball. You got the Rockets playing great basketball. Oklahoma City Thunder playing great basketball. And you turn to the Eastern Conference, Detroit, New York Knicks. So a lot of great basketball going on. But Jesus, Luka the Don just has got it going on this year. So just great basketball that I'm seeing from Luka. So let's move on to the college football playoff because that begins tonight. We've got the first matchup tonight between Oklahoma and Alabama. And then we have 3 games on Saturday. And so college football playoff, it is on. So let me go ahead and make all my predictions all the way up to who I believe is going to be the national champion for this year. It's a very odd pool. I'm going to say there to me is not a front runner in this year's college football playoff. I feel like there's a weakness in all of them. And so my winner is probably not a popular winner. I don't usually look at other people's predictions because I really couldn't give a shit because this doesn't matter. We're all just guessing and it's literally luck of the draw and it doesn't matter in any way, shape, and form. But I feel like not a lot of people are picking the team that I picked. So let's get right into it. In the first round matchups, we have Oregon versus JMU, and JMU is just one of those, James Madison, by the way. They're just one of those, they got in from winning their conference, blah, blah, blah. They're one of those lower tiered schools who we let in because, there's been these years where Boise State, TCU have gone on these big old runs and they're like, we didn't get in. And then usually they get their ass beat once they go up against a team that's been around for a minute. And I'm sorry, but Oregon has been around for a minute, and they've built a really solid program, and I don't think this one's going to be close. I think Oregon's going to roll over JMU and move along easily in the first round. Then our next first-round matchup, like I said, is the first matchup, which is tonight, Oklahoma versus Alabama. For me personally, this is what I would refer to as the Who Cares Bowl, because I hate both of these teams. This is legit 2 of my least favorite teams. I'll let you know. USC is another one of my least favorite teams as well. So it's it couldn't be worse unless you threw USC in there. But I hate both Oklahoma and Alabama. So can they both lose? That's how I look at it. But no, somebody's got to win this one. It's kind of a coin toss to me, but I went with Alabama just because Alabama's more experienced in this position. Oklahoma, they're a good team this year, but they haven't really played consistent football, whereas Alabama actually has been a lot more consistent, and I just trust Alabama more in this position. And fuck you, Oklahoma could come sit at home like the rest of us Longhorns fans. So I've got Alabama moving on in that matchup. Then our next first round matchup, we have Ole Miss versus Tulane. Tulane, another one of those teams that just got in because they won their conference. Ole Miss, one of those teams because they actually were good. I think Ole Miss is going to roll over Tulane in that matchup. And then the last first round matchup we have is Texas A&M versus Miami. Texas A&M to me was one of the best teams in college football. Yes, they suffered that loss to my Texas Longhorns, but that's like about it. I mean, they showed up in every single game. And they have excellent defense. They play great on offense. They just have so many good things to say about them. To me, Texas A&M was the best team in college football. Should have been ranked number one at some point in this process, but they never were. But whatever, it doesn't matter. They got in. Miami, though, no consistent football. They started off the season really strong, really hot, and then just completely cooled off. And we're lucky to even get into the college football playoff. And with that being said, I actually think Texas A&M is going to roll right over them and move on to the next round. So my quarterfinals matchups are Oregon versus Texas Tech. Oh, I forgot to mention the byes this week are Texas Tech, Indiana, Georgia, and Ohio State. So the quarterfinals matchups that I have are Oregon versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech, they had an excellent year. But to me, I don't think they're ready for this level just yet. Obviously, you show a lot of growth with what you did this year, but now I kind of feel like you're running into a buzzsaw. Like I said, Oregon's been here. They've built up a really strong program for a reason. We hear Oregon in the playoffs. We've heard of them in the playoffs for many, many years now, and they're just that team that's always there, and you can't overlook them, even though it kind of feels like a lot of people overlook them every single season. And I just think they're a better team. They're more a legit squad, and they're more ready for this stage as opposed to Texas Tech. So I've got Oregon winning that matchup. Then we have Alabama versus Indiana. Indiana, good team. Been probably the most consistent team in football all year. But Alabama's just been sneaky good this year. And while I don't believe they belonged in the college football playoffs simply because they had 3 losses and there were other teams with less losses that I felt deserved to be in. But hey, you know what? Alabama does play in the SEC. And when you play the SEC, you actually are playing better teams. You can argue that all you want, but it's actually true. In Indiana, they play a lot of tomato cans. Sorry, but they do. So with that being said, I actually just kind of think Indiana is not ready for this stage themselves. And I think Alabama is actually going to shock the world and beat Indiana in that matchup and move on. Then we have Ole Miss versus Georgia. And Georgia's actually been the dominating team over the last few years. They've basically been the dynasty of college football. It used to be Alabama, but then Georgia started the tide started to turn over towards Georgia. And even though they weren't like ranked number 1 all season, gotta be honest, wouldn't be shocked if I saw Georgia hoisting up that national championship trophy because they are a damn good team. Their defense is good. Their offense is good. They have a ton of talent, and they're just a very well-coached team as well. And with that being said, Ole Miss, they ain't got no coach now. They got a fill-in coach at this point. And even if they had Lane Kiffin, I still think Georgia's the better team, and I've got Georgia winning that matchup. And then our last quarterfinals matchup is Texas A&M versus Ohio State. For me personally, Ohio State's a fake Fugazi team. I have not believed in them all season. I think them being ranked number 1 has been a joke all season. I understand why they started off the season number 1, Texas was ranked number 1 to start, but then they beat Texas in week 1. And I understand because they are the defending national champions. But other than that, they played garbage all season long. And even the Michigan team that they beat this year, who they finally actually beat a Michigan team, finally in a million years, they finally beat Michigan. It was a fairly mediocre Michigan team. It wasn't that good of a Michigan team that you were beating up. And so to me, Ohio State is just not, I don't think they're that great of a team. I don't think they even deserve the bye, to be quite honest. I think they should have fallen a lot further after that loss to Indiana. But they didn't. But with that being said, I think Texas A&M, I said it in the last round, I think Texas A&M is a stronger team. I think they have a better defense. I think they have a better offense, and I just think they're the better team. So I have Texas A&M moving in that matchup. So my semifinals matchups are Oregon versus Alabama. And this is where I think Alabama is going to finally run into a wall, because that's kind of how Alabama's season has gone. They've played really, really solid football, and then all of a sudden they lay an egg. And that's what I think is going to happen in this one. I think Oregon is a team that nobody's really been talking about this year. I think a lot of people have been overlooking Oregon because they just don't think they play a lot of good teams. And, yes, the SEC, they do play a lot of good teams, but also you get beat up by all those teams. Whereas Oregon, I think their offense is going to be really difficult for Alabama to stop, and I just kind of feel like this is the time for Alabama to lose at this point. And I've got Oregon moving on to the national championship game. My second semifinals matchup is Texas A&M versus Georgia. So this is the battle between two SEC squads, and I've said it all season. I just think Texas A&M is the best team in college football. I really like how they play football. I think they've got a lot of talent. That's why I was so thrilled when the Longhorns beat them, because I'm like, we just beat a really good-ass team. How did we do that? And we dominated them. But that's besides the point. The A&M is a good team. I totally respect this team. I think defensively they're really good. Offensively they're really good. And they just have a lot of talent, and they've been overlooked all season, and I think it's kind of pissed them off. Georgia is, like I just said, they have been the most dominating team in college football over the last 5, 6, 7 years now. They've been there. But with that being said, they're going to lose some of these as well. And I just think it's Texas A&M's year. So I've got Texas A&M moving on to the national championship. So my national championship matchup is Oregon versus Texas A&M. And if you can't tell my theme, I think Texas A&M is the best team in college football. And as much as it pains me to say this, it's so hard to even get these words out, because as somebody who lives in Austin, I have lived in Austin for going on 19 years now at this point. I've lived here this whole time. There's never been a time where you could say the Texas A&M Aggies are going to even, there's no fathomable thought that they're going to win a national championship. Even the Johnny Manziel years and the couple of years that they've had where you're like, oh. Nope, they don't do it. They just don't do it. I think this is the year. I think A&M actually put it together. I think they put together a really damn good team. I think that loss against the Longhorns was a very humbling loss as well. I think it was one of those losses that you needed to kind of make your way to a championship and finally turn a couple of, because even if you are the best team in any sport, you have things that you need to fix. And when you keep winning, it's hard to find those things to fix. And so when you get humbled, you find those things to fix. And that's what I think happened with A&M in that loss to the Longhorns. And I think they found those ways. And I also think they are pissed off for being overlooked all season. They got completely overlooked every which way. I mean, like I said, Alabama gets all that love because they're in the SEC, but Texas A&M did not get the same exact respect, even though they're in the SEC. So I think Texas A&M is just coming in pissed off. I think they're a more scrappier and stronger team than Oregon. I think Oregon's going to give them a good run for their money, and I don't think Oregon's going to be any slouch. I actually think it will be a pretty good national championship game if that's the way it ends up. But I have Texas A&M as my national champion. I can't believe I'm saying it, but that's who I picked. Obviously, we got a ways to go until we get there, but that's who I've got. So it begins tonight. OU versus Alabama. And then tomorrow we've got A&M versus Miami, Ole Miss versus Tulane, and then Oregon versus James Madison. And like I said, the bye weeks this week, Texas Tech, Indiana, Georgia, and Ohio State. So that is what we have for the college football matchup this weekend. So we have us a ton of sports, y'all. We've got pro football with all the playoff implications on the line. Then we've got the college football playoff, which is just the college football playoff for all the marbles for the national championship. So that begins this weekend. And we still have all this excellent basketball. I mean, come on. All these great players, all these great teams, man. It is going to be an excellent, stacked-ass weekend of sports. So, all right, y'all, enjoy the rest of the weekend of sports, and I will talk to you fools on Monday.